Think about liquid water, we tend to think of this stuff in this glass here, and it tastes good to drink. It feels good to drink when it's clean. And it has this kind of refreshing quality to it for a lot of us. But my body is 70% water, and not a single ounce of that is in this form. The vast majority of the water within my body is actually in a crystalline structure. If you've ever seen Jell-O, eaten Jell-O, made Jell-O, you see liquid turn into a solid. And that gel-like structure within Jell-O is the result of complex crystal structures of the water organizing itself around proteins. And that's how I hold water. And it turns out that my biologic age and my likelihood of disease correlates perfectly with how much crystal water do I hold. That crystal water is holding something within it, and it's light. In a very amazing biologic phenomenon, this planet is able to capture solar energy in chlorophyll, which are tiny little mitochondria that live inside of plants, little bacteria. And these chlorophyll have been able to take CO2 and turn it into batteries. And the battery is a long chain of carbon. Double carbon bond is the most efficient battery ever invented by nature. It takes no energy to maintain the light within that. So sunlight is captured between two CO2 molecules, and then 8, and then 12, and these long carbon chains. And then we digest those by consuming food. And we liberate glucose, sugars, carbohydrates, fatty acids, and the oils in our foods. And we package that up in our liver and send it out to every cell in the body. And it turns out the human cells don't know how to use any of that glucose or fatty acids. There's no mechanism for releasing the sunlight, so it has to pass it down to the mitochondria living inside our cells. So it's basically the mitochondria in plants communicating potential energy to the mitochondria within us. Those mitochondria start breaking apart the CO2 and start releasing sunlight back into the cellular matrix. And that's what's being held within the crystal structure of water. And it turns out that when I drink water like this, I'm doing very little to support the crystalline structure within my cells. For this to turn into a crystal, it takes a complex relationship to a vast array of salts, mineral amino acid complexes, and protein structures. And that's where we kind of lost the hydration story. If I drink this water, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel like I'm hydrating myself for a few minutes. But I'm going to pee this out in the next 45 minutes. If I haven't emptied my bladder, it will be sitting in my bladder. It's no longer in my body. It's outside of my body again, because this pure water has no reservoir in my body. It has to pass quickly through my bloodstream back to the kidneys and get out to my urine. And so the journey into health is really a rediscovery of how do you get water into the crystal stage. And that it's a complex journey in some ways, but it is an exciting premise to begin with, is I need to be more full of light. How do I become more full of light so that I'm more vital, so I can repair at a faster rate than ever before, because there's more poisons in my environment than any other time in human history? I need more crystalline structure. And so we reevaluate water at that journey from your gut into the crystal form inside your cells, where it turns into that gel battery storage place for that light liberation from the sunlight for the animation of life to happen. And so that's a little bit of a nutshell of a lot more content that could be drilled into, but that's a little bit of that flip on the head of water.
Midichlorians were needed to unlock the power of the Force. The microscopic life forms known as midichlorians reside in every living cell. Midichlorians were in fact necessary for life to exist. In sufficient numbers, they would communicate the will of the Force to those they inhabited. Cells with 2,000 midichlorians were completely insensitive to the Force, and the average being in the galaxy had a count of around 2,500 per cell, granting them a limited sensitivity. For those able to tap into the energies of the Force, their midichlorian count exceeded 5,000. According to Sith Lord Darth Tenebrous, an individual born of pure Force might boast a staggering count of 15,000 or more midichlorians per cell. This suggests that most Force-sensitive beings fell far short of such extraordinary numbers.
I've encountered a Vergence in the Force. A boy. The cells have the highest concentration of midichlorians I have seen in a life form.
In a galaxy steeped in the mysteries of the Force, midichlorian counts stand as a measure of a Jedi's connection.
You must feel the Force around you.
At the pinnacle, Anakin Skywalker's staggering count surpasses all.
The reading is off the chart. Over 20,000.
Marking him as the chosen one. Following closely is Master Yoda, his wisdom mirrored by his high midichlorian count. The legendary Obi-Wan Kenobi ranks next, his balance and skill matched by his Force sensitivity. These Jedi exemplify the heights of Force potential, each embodying a unique facet of its power. Dive into the enigma of midichlorian counts and the extraordinary abilities they unveil in the top Jedi of the galaxy.